Hi, this is Sharna back with another video. This is a Valentine gnome card, and this is part of a Valentine YouTube hop hosted by Katie. So to get started, I am going to show you how I started with the background. Today we're using some distress ink. All the ink colors as well as any Copic markers will be listed down below as well as on my blog. Just in case they're difficult to see here. This is cracked pistachio as well as evergreen bough, and I just misted that with a little bit of water, and I'm dipping my watercolor paper in that. And it's very light because I used a lot of water. I want to be able to build up a few layers here. Let me just clean that off. And then I'm going to dry between each layer so that they actually darken up instead of just mixing on the paper. If it was still wet, you wouldn't be able to darken that. It would just stay the light color. So I'm going to add another layer here. Same colors, same process. Spray it with water, dip the paper back in, give it a second. And then I'm just covering the areas that I want to be a little bit darker. And I'm going to dry that again with my heat tool. It doesn't have to be all the way dry, just dry just dry to the touch. And that's it. So now I'm going to move on to the pink. And this is Spun Sugar and picked raspberry. Picked raspberry is obviously a lot darker. So you want to use less of it if you want a lighter shade of pink and more of the Spun Sugar. I love the way these two colors look together. And I'm just going to add a little bit of distressing, and then I did not add another layer since I thought this was dark enough. And I'm just kind of planning out how I was thinking this will look. And next we'll get into the coloring. I left all the coloring in here for you. This is starting with E53. I start with my darkest and go to my lightest. That's just how I feel comfortable. If you're having a hard time blending, I recommend doing 2 layers. But I find these colors work well together. So that was E51, and then now I'm using the E000. And moving on to the beards, I wanted a mostly white beard, but I do want some definition there, so I'm using the W3. And I tried to add a little heart shape to the beards, to a couple of the beards. I don't know if it's very obvious. Then I moved on to my W2. I'm flicking in from the bottom just to add a little bit of texture and movement into the beards. And a little bit of shadowing. And then I'm going to finish off with the W00 just to blend that all together, leaving them mostly white. And I forgot the little ends on the guy with the split beard, but I will remember those later. And then I am moving on to the hats, and that is G02 for the darkest. And then I used G00, but the marker needs to be refilled, so you're going to see me skip here and just use the G000. I'm just throwing the shadows along one side. If there's any dips or bumps, I'm adding a little bit of shading to those dips just to make them more prominent. And if you find that your lightest marker, since this is a really light color, pushes back those shadows too much, I recommend adding those shadows back in just so you have good contrast on your image. And now we're going to move on to the pinks. I'm sorry that's off screen, but that is R81, or might be R83. I'll have to double check. And then that's RV10 for my medium shade. These are really small areas, so you could really get away with 1 or 2 shades here. Oh, there, I just got his beard. And then I'm going to move on to the accessories over here, and that would be R35, R32, and R000, just for a very nice contrast there. And I'm going to add those to the pom-poms as well, the bottom two, 32 and R000. And I colored in the little flower with some E53 just to add some brown to the center. And then moving on to their shoes, I added N4, N2, and then I believe it's N0, yeah. Again, such a small area, you could really get away with 1 or 2 colors. So I went ahead and die cut that background we did earlier, and that's how I am planning on layering it. Gonna see me mess around here. Just trying to decide how I wanted it to look. Those gnomes do cover up a lot of the hearts, so I was trying to make sure that at least some of them were showing in my final card. And I still have all these leftovers that'll be great for another card. And I did keep all these hearts. I'm just checking here to see if I'd rather use the hearts instead of the actual background. Super cute. I just felt that they were a little too big to work this way. But there's other of the little agenda sets that would work perfectly on here. Especially like the pandas, things like that. So I'm just going to glue down this background with a little liquid glue. This would be super easy to pop up. I just find it's easier to put through the mail with only one layer of foam tape, and I do want to pop the gnomes up so in the sentiment. So I decided to glue the background flat. So it'd also be great for a shaker card. And I ran out of bases. So I'm just going to use my bone folder and make a new one. I always cut my paper down to size, so if I ever need to make a card base, it's on hand at the right size. And I'm just using the desk to line that up. And I'm going to add some foam tape to my gnomes. Get them put on here. That's the 3M foam tape. I have a giant roll of it, and that's actually running out, so I do need to order a new one. It has lasted me probably about a year though, and I use a lot of foam tape. So here we're just going to pick out a sentiment. I love this set. I use it very often. That is the Mama Elephant labeled messages. And this just saves time from having to heat emboss. Obviously you can stamp it in black and get the same look. And that's it. That's the card for today. Don't forget to enter with all of us in the blog hop. Comment on all 20 videos. The next video link is in the description box, and it is open internationally. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed my videos. Thank you.